have to come to this now. DA leader John Steenhuisen is heading to the capital for damage control. Steenhuisen is meeting with DA's Tshwane caucus to hash out some of the issues plaguing the metro. It's leaderless following Stevens MOKGALAPA'S resignation and the ANC's intent on it being placed under administration. Several other leaders have also jumped ship, and our reporter GOVAN WHITTLES joins me now for more on this particular developing story. Now, GOVAN, good afternoon to you. Of course, I can imagine John Steenhuisen coming in there to do damage control in a city that is perceived as leaderless. What did he have to say?
Yeah, it's damage control in more ways than one, Tumelo. But specifically regarding Tshwane, he's maintained the DA Tshwane caucus's position that they want a special sitting of council. They believe that each candidate from the different big parties, the ANC, EFF and the DA, should field the candidates, and whoever gets the most votes would win the mayorship. But of course, there's a lot of moving parts to the Tshwane mess. They've also not got to have. They also don't have a city manager, and if the EFF and the ANC strike a deal, they would have a majority in council. And then there's, of course, the matter of some former DA leaders leaving the party to join Herman Mashaba's The People's Movement. But it has mostly to do with coalitions, and I'm joined now by the head of the DA's governance unit, Mr. James Self. Let's begin with Tshwane, sir. So you believe you could win the mayorship if each of the parties had to let their candidates run and there's a vote. But the reality is that you don't have enough coalition partners at this moment, or people giving you votes to get a majority in council. Do you think that there's any way to still get a majority at this stage, or are you hoping that you'll win with a minority vote?
Well, we have got the biggest number of votes in the Tshwane Council, and assuming the situation that each of the political parties put up a candidate and in a secret ballot vote for that candidate, then in the final vote, in the runoff, we ought to get our candidate elected unless the EFF and the ANC do a deal. Now, if they do a deal, that's fine, because then at least Tshwane will have a mayor, because what we want in Tshwane is political stability so that service delivery can go ahead.
But you're also anticipating the cooperative governance MEC placing Tshwane under administration. You think that's a realistic likelihood?
Well, it's certainly a possibility. We are waiting to see what he says. If he determines that Tshwane should be placed under administration, we will a political ploy, not based on any incapacity on the part of the municipality.
And you're here with the interim leader of the DA, John Steenhuisen, as well as the federal chair, Helen Zille, to meet with the Tshwane caucus. How much of that meeting was about telling the Tshwane caucus that they shouldn't do what Funzela Ngobeni did in Johannesburg, which is address a DA briefing one day and then a few days later resign the party? Are you afraid that might happen again?
Well, it's also always a possibility, but that's actually a fairly cohesive caucus. We had a very frank discussion with them. It was held in a very good spirit, and I think that morale is now restored.
All right, and you're hoping for a secret ballot in the vote for a Tshwane mayor, but there's also a possibility of some of your councillors voting for an ANC candidate, as they did in Johannesburg. What did you say to the Tshwane caucus, or John say, during the meeting? Well,
I obviously can't go into specifics about what happened in a caucus meeting, but we had a good, frank and constructive discussion. And I think the chances of people voting for an ANC mayor on a secret ballot are remote.
All right. And just regarding one more issue in Nelson Mandela Bay, we saw Ngababanga resigning as a member of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature to possibly be the DA's candidate for mayor in Nelson Mandela Bay. Do you have the UDM support to install Ngababanga as mayor there?
Well, we've had initial discussions with General Holomisa and the UDM. We had each side had to produce certain information and come to certain agreements. We will now complete that process and have another meeting with him in order to see whether he's on or off board.
All right, thank you so much. That's Mr. James Self, is the head of the governance unit, the Democratic Alliance, the senior leadership, national leadership of the DA, on their way to Johannesburg now, where they'll meet with the Johannesburg caucus after the departure of Funzela Ngobeni. And John Steenhuisen says he's told them that he doesn't want people in his ranks that are working with the opposition, working against the DA. It's a message that he says he'll carry over to Johannesburg. Tumelo.
Thank you so much, GOVAN WHITTLES, for that update coming through from Tshwane, the metro, which